specifically, what were your challenges? Was it just finding the deals now because there aren't as many wholesalers, or is it what was so different from your skill sets in Indianapolis that you required to get new ones in Hawaii?
Finding deals is the most important and the hardest thing, I think, in the Hawaii market. But then along that, I still had to navigate things, permitting and contractors, and I ripped off for the, and just not knowing what to do. In the beginning, I was also trying to do the work myself because, okay, I want to learn. Now that I'm in Hawaii, I can't do the work. So I was on YouTube.
What do you want to go to? What are your goals? What are your goals right now? Where are you trying to go?
I think, there's so number one, I think I had different goals before I started meeting with Panetta. I wanted to do all these things. I have big dreams, but Panetta basically told me, bro, you have to buckle down on your flipping, get this a lot more profitable, a lot more efficient, and a lot more streamlined where you're not in it. So number one, I'm just trying to get the fix and flipping to be a more efficient, profitable, and hands-off business. And then we're pairing that with commercial properties and multifamily investing. So right now it's kind of the fix and flipping is the main focus and getting this better in all different aspects. But then we're also adding in commercial properties in Kansas City and then multifamily investing like across the US. And so from there, once we get to that next level, then I'll be like, where should we go next? We're also looking at some small businesses and stuff, but just more passive income for me and my team, and then also just more active income for everybody involved.
I think this is my personal view of the levels people should go to, and you can tell me what you think of it. I'd be interested to hear what you think of it. I feel everyone should have a baseline, their first business, the active income, the thing that pays their bills, and getting that automated as much as possible.
Yeah.
One thing. That's level one. For you, it's fixing flipping. For me, it's wholesaling, right? Getting that as automated as possible. Then two is really big wealth generation, something multifamily, commercial. For some people, that could just be owning an insane amount of single family rentals. It depends on the person, right? And then the third is starting to buy businesses, because I feel that's the end goal. I think if you're trying to become insanely wealthy, because that's how the really, really wealthy, that's what they do, is they buy businesses in the end, right? Real estate, I think the middle level is really important for the tax benefits. I mean, you get all of that also with your BRRRRing, right? But having some active income that just makes you rich, then wealthy, and then really freaking wealthy. I don't know. That's my plan. So I'm curious as to what you think.
100% agree with that. I think that's a super, super healthy and practical way to look at it, is just getting your active income. And it doesn't have to be a business. It could be your W-2. We have a big opportunity. And then you pair that with real estate to offset your tax liability, but also build your wealth horizontally, where you're making money while you sleep, right? So your wealth is rising as the appreciation, cash flow, loan pay down, all those different things are happening. And then you're just scaling that thing. And then eventually small business acquisition and flipping and repositioning there's an insane opportunity over there. But it's kind of a big boys game in my opinion, but there's a huge amount of opportunity in that space, I think, in the small business or
love it. I love it. And then so what do you feel do you feel there are any fears that might be holding you back right now? What do you feel is holding you back from getting to the next level right now?
The thing is, I think it's an internal thing, and it sounds stupid, but it's mindset, right? I believe I'm $1 million a year person. It's hard for me to conceive myself as a $10 million a year person. And I think I think I'm a 10 employee boss or CEO. It's hard for me to envision myself as 100 employee CEO or boss. I just can't. Even though I want to say that I am, I'm not there yet. So I think the fear of even growing too fast or having to be able to solve these bigger problems, I think that's a big thing that I have not overcome yet, that I'm going to slowly need to kind of wrap my mind around and then overcome. But I think, I've come a long way, where when I was first starting and before real estate, I just want to make six figures. That's my only goal. If I make six figures, I made it, and so that was level one. But as I've kind of had some different successes, you kind of slowly rise up to the next level, where I look back then, I'm wow, that's for me, six figures. That's such a small goal or ceiling to put on myself, But I think there's a lot more opportunity out there that I can get to, but I don't mentally have the bandwidth or the ability to imagine myself or really believe that I can do it at this point in time.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I feel like it's one of those things where it's just this was an Alex Hormozy quote
Mhm.
where I think I'm going to butcher the quote, but it's something you just have to, instead of saying daily affirmations to yourself, stack an insane amount of evidence
Yeah,
that you are the person that you say you
yeah,
are. So I think it'll just be stacking more
yeah,
evidence, and then you'll be getting there,
yeah.
basically.
Yeah, I know which quote you're talking about. And I 100% agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great one. So what I'm curious, do you have any coaching programs you recommend that you feel are really good ones, or any masterminds or mentorships or anything like that you feel, man, I'm so glad I did that one? And when do you think someone should start doing their coaching? Should it be at the very beginning? Should it be maybe when you've done your first deal, or should it be you when you've done quite a few deals? What do you think?
Number one, I think that, well, there's two that I mean, that I'm a part of. They're Ryan Pineda's program. I think the dude is just smart, and I think there's a lot of good things in that community. And another one is WNN, which is I'm another also part of. It's a local guy who kind of started it. It's kind of, it got a little bit bigger, but just basically he's a big investor in Kansas City in commercial and single family, and I think it's a solid program. But to answer your second question, I think it really depends. And this is the lawyer answer, right? But I think number one, you have to be prepared to put in the time, energy, and effort that a coaching program requires. Because I think a lot of people go into coaching programs thinking, once I pay the money, it's gonna come to me easy, and I have to do less work. But in
Right.
my opinion, once you join the coaching program, now you want to put in more work, because you're gonna have to the coaching program is gonna require you to put in more effort than you would without it. So if you don't have a coaching program, you can kind of just cruise, go at your own pace, or do what you want. But I think once you join a coaching program, now you have there's a bike that you have to ride, or a boat that you have to row, and it's going to require a lot of time, energy, and effort that you're going to have to carve out and invest into this thing. And so if you're not prepared to put that time, energy, and effort, it's just going to be throwing money away. And so I think in the very beginning, if you don't have money, I wouldn't recommend joining a coaching program, because I think don't get over your head in credit cards or different kind of things. There's so much
Right.
like free opportunity that you can find, or like information or meetups or groups that are free that you can get to a certain level with a relatively ease. And it just the only thing coaching program does is it's going to accelerate your growth faster. So I think like the people who are successful with a coaching program would be successful without it. They just would be successful faster with the coaching. So I would get to where I am today without Pineda, but it would take me 7 years, right? But with Pineda's coaching, it'll get me to that 7 year mark in 2 years, because I'm able to navigate it faster. So I think don't think if you don't do coaching, you'll still be successful as long as you're the right person and you put in the work. But then if you're ready and you have the funds and you're willing to put in the effort, now do coaching, because it'll get you to where you are faster, even though you would have gotten there eventually.
100%. I 100% agree. I mean, it just makes it just short. What you're doing is you're shortening your time, and time is the most valuable asset any human can have. So you're
Yeah.
basically just time traveling, more
Yeah.
or less, by coaching, right? How do you choose the right coach? How do you know who's going to be right for you?
I think it's so that it matters on what your goals are. I mean, there's what are your resources that you have now? What are your goals, right? And also your personality type, and kind of what's important to you. Different coaches are good at different things, and so the Pineda and Pace Marby, they're very different, both successful, but they're going to appeal to a different audience, a different kind of goal that you're trying to reach. I think number one is you want to make sure that they're vetted, and there's people that you either personally, or who can recommend you, that they have friends who are in the program that are actually getting what they think they're getting value out of the program, right? Because there's a lot of newer coaches or people who are just starting where they promise a lot, but there's no really track record or substance to what they're preaching. So I think having a coach with a track record of success personally, but also students who are seeing success, is a good, I guess, initial indicator to see if that's the bare minimum that you need. Then on top of that is how much do they charge? How much money do you have available? And then what are your goals, and how is this coach going to really help you to achieve or get there faster?
So, yeah, I mean, I love it. I think coaching is amazing. So we went from BRRRR in
Yeah.
2018, 2019. I kind of want to hear a little bit of the story of why did you decide to start doing different things other than going from Indianapolis and then starting to go back to your home market and then starting to do flipping, right? What started changing your mindset? I want you to go a little bit more into your story, even though I know I'm jumping around.
Yeah, so when I first started, the goal was cash flow, cash flow, cash flow. I wanted to quit my W-2. And so I had this machine that I was building in Indianapolis at the time. Okay, I did 6 BRRRRs the first year. But then, long story short, in the beginning, I had no money. I borrowed a bunch of personalized credit and for my 401k to do those first deals. So I had 150 and just access to funds that I'd have to pay back and recycle through. And so with that 150, I was able to do 6 BRRRRs in Indianapolis. I was like, hey, if I had 300 or 500, I could do 10 or 20 BRRRRs a year and supercharge this machine that I had going in Indianapolis. But I needed more cash to kind of keep on recycling. So in Hawaii, it's a terrible BRRRR market, but it's a great flipping market because the price points are high, but also the profit margins are high as well too. So hey, the skill set now I feel comfortable. So the BRRRR is basically a fix and flip that you keep, right? So the skill set was there. I was like, hey, I feel a little bit more comfortable with the process. Let's take the skill set that I developed in Indianapolis to my Hawaii market, do some fix and flipping here, build up some cash flow, and then I can supercharge this BRRRR machine I have in India, and let's do 20 or 30 BRRRRs a year and just build up my cash flow that way. So that was my initial plan. When I came to Hawaii, I realized it's such a difficult market. I had to level up my skill set of sales and finding deals, all the different kinds of things. Eventually, I got very lucky in the first few deals I did where they actually turned into BRRRR deals. It's like I originally was looking for flip deals, but then I got very lucky where these just turned out to be a good cash flow on the backside. And so I actually BRRRRed the first few deals I did in Hawaii. And then when I realized was the BRRRR deals I did in Hawaii was equal to 10 in Indy as far as the equity and the cash flow and different things I got. So after I got a taste of the Hawaii market, I was okay, now for my time, it doesn't make sense for me to spend my time in Indianapolis when I'm getting so much cash flow, so much equity, and so much wealth building in Hawaii. So that's why once I got the first few deals under my belt in Hawaii and had a massive success, I was like, no, I'm not going to go back to my Indian market. It just doesn't make sense anymore. So from there, it was just sticking with the Hawaii market. And then whenever I can't BRRRR, that there's no cash flow, there's not enough equity to pull out, it turns into a flip, which was just just trying to get as good deals as you can. But as you know, the BRRRR deals, you have to be pretty big because to refinance out all your money, you got to be all in at 70 or 75%, right? And so with flipping, you got to be all in at 80%. You can still make a profit. So eventually, I just trying to get as many great deals as I can in Hawaii. The ones that I could BRRRR, I'll BRRRR. If I can't BRRRR, then I'll just sell them and just turn into cash. And so I just started building a machine and building a marketing machine and project management, all the contractors. So I built all the pieces in Hawaii and putting all this time, energy, and effort into Hawaii, where like it makes sense to just stay here and focus here. This is the biggest ROI on my time. So that's what I got into the Hawaii market.
Okay, makes sense. And then what were your challenges? Was it just finding the deals now because there aren't as many wholesalers, or is it what was so different from your skill sets in Indianapolis that you required to get new ones in Hawaii?
Finding deals is the most important and the hardest thing I think in the Hawaii market. But then along that, I still had to navigate things, permitting and contractors, and I ripped off and just not knowing what to do. In the beginning, I was also trying to do the work myself because I want to learn. Now that I'm in Hawaii, I can't do the work. So I was on YouTube. I bought a bunch of tools and just different things. And so it was a process. There was many challenges, I think, but the number one biggest challenge is just finding great deals. So beginning your marketing, your marketing team and your acquisition is really solid. But so I think that's the biggest challenge in the Hawaii market.
And how was that? Because I mean, I assume as a software engineer, usually software engineers aren't usually the most social people in the world. And generally probably sales doesn't 100% come naturally to you. How'd you navigate that? How'd you navigate having to acquire skills that even you are not as naturally personality-wise suited for? Because I think that could be really interesting for people to know. How do you develop yourself to do things that even your personality doesn't really suit you for?
I mean, so it was the same way that I just started investing, just immersing myself. So I read a ton of books on just speaking, salesmanship. I went to I forget what it's called. You can go to these little local chapters where they give speeches. I can't think of the name. The other competition, speech competition stuff. But I forget what the name. But they're all over the country. But then just going to these talking things, reading books, practicing in front of the mirror, listening to hours and hours of sales and YouTube, and just doing a practice called role playing with other investors, and just kind of immersing myself in that role, and then just failing, talking to invest sellers and cold calling hundreds, thousands of people. I mean, it was just a trial by fire.
Did you get on the phone? Did you start cold calling people?
Dude, I was cold calling, probably 8 hours a day.
That's crazy.
I'm just doing whatever I can, I mean, just whatever I can to just get get the reps in, get better at my craft and whatever it is. It's in the beginning, cold calling is very scary, but after you do like 100, it's honestly, it's just like, it is what it is. You know, you're gonna
Do you
get
feel that's the best way to do it? I'm just curious if you've thought about this, where because it's interesting. I feel at the beginning, especially of entrepreneurs development, they feel they have to have done every single role in order to become really good at it and be able to manage it and teach it. How do you feel now? Do you ever do it where you're at the point, because there's going to be eventually a point where it's, I can't be that guy who literally learns how to do something with commercial, right? Or something with multifamily. I've got a whole other business run. I need to just hire somebody who knows how to do it. Do you feel you should do it first always? Do you feel you should always hire it out and just hire somebody who has really the experience? Or do you feel maybe some middle ground between that when it's a new skill set? How do you feel about that? Do you feel that was which is the best way to go, you feel?
I think so this is, again, it depends. It's on your resources and where you are in that point in your life. Because if you have no money, you can't hire anybody. You have to do it yourself, right? So you don't really have a choice. And then the thing about, if you start with money, what I see people who, even myself, but now they have money, money can make you lazy, where you're just gonna hire it out, or you're just gonna pay somebody to do this, but then you don't really have eyes on it. You don't know how good of a job they're doing. You don't really understand where your money is going, and just kind of bleeding into this unknown where you're just wasting your money at that time too. So if you've actually done it before, you understand it or know how to track it and recognize a good job or not, that helps you to spend your money better in that way. And so this is how I did it when I was in the renovation. When I first started the renovations, I tried to do as much as myself, and I watched a bunch of YouTube. Super huge fails, but I'm so glad I did that, because now when I hire contractors, I understand the different trades that are involved and the time and energy that it takes. And so, long story short, I think if you have the capacity to do it yourself in the beginning, I think it's always best. But then if you start with money and you want to kind of shortchange your thing where you can hire it out and go to that route, I think it's possible. And at a certain point, it does make sense, but it's also not always going to be the most efficient when it comes to the return that you're going to get from your efforts. That kind of makes sense.
Yeah, no, that does make sense. No, I definitely get that. Gotcha. That's an interesting way to think about it. So in terms of where should I go from here? So in the terms of the self-development of those skills, I think it's just so interesting to talk about, because because my personal philosophy at this point, I agree, where when you're broke, obviously don't hire somebody. You don't have any money to pay anybody, right? But it is interesting to think about. There are certain things, cold calling, I would always say you don't hire a cold caller before you've done some cold calling. And there are other things, your accountant, where I'm never going to do any accounting, right? I'm going to hire an accountant to be able to do my taxes and stuff that. So I don't know. It's a very interesting thing to think about when you should balance that, you personally doing it versus you just hiring it out.
Yeah. This is something also that I've kind of found, and I've heard other guys say this in so many things, is what's going to get you from here to here is not what's going to get you from here to here. So I think in the very beginning, if you're going from $1 to $1 million a year, that's the hustler. You have to hustle. You have to get everything done. You're learning all these skill sets. You have to drive the ship with all your time, energy, and effort and skill. Obviously, you can hire things here and there, but it's really you. When you're trying to go from 1 million to 10 million or whatever different level, now you have to become a delegator, where you have to delegate this and you have to pay for people, because you can't just hustle your way to that next level. So I think having the drive in the very beginning of this, having the hustle mindset of just doing whatever it takes to get it done, I think is super healthy. And when you're first starting, but at a certain point, you're going to have to start to delegate and actually hire, or not, make sure like you're spending your time in the most high value dollar way that you can. And then from there, and then after that, it becomes you're super delegating, where you're just hiring the leaders and they're kind of figuring things out. I think it matters on what level of business, where your skill set, your resources, and your income. So all those things kind of come into play as far as whether or not you should do it or you should hire it out, or even have the opportunity to hire it out.
Okay, my man. So we're starting to get closer to the end of the podcast. So I really want to, there's certain questions I was asking at the end of the podcast as well. And one of my favorites is if you could go back to Daniel, right when he's starting, 2018, what would you tell him now, knowing everything, what would you tell him then, knowing everything you know now?
I think number one is the network and go to more meetups. I think when I first started, I was super anti-education and I was not super anti-meetups, but it wasn't a priority for me. But I think I would tell him to go to more meetups. And I think I tell him to buy education, but be willing to spend the time and energy and effort when you get the education. So just buy some education early, but the same energy and effort that I was putting towards my free stuff, just plow that same energy and effort into some education stuff, which would shortcut my journey by a little bit. But other than that, and then just there's practical things you would give all advice how to navigate the permitting, or just start in Hawaii, like the most efficient. So it's because even
you tell
now,
them to start in Hawaii. That's interesting. Is that because?
Just the ROI on your time. So that I basically lost a year of investing in Hawaii by starting in Indianapolis, even though it was very profitable and it worked a lot. Really, it was so good. But now, maybe I'll just start in commercial properties, because just where is your best ROI on your time that you can handle. So I think just depending on where you are at, different levels, you're gonna get a better return for the same amount of effort that you're putting in. So we're always trying to find the bigger leverage opportunities. I think Hormozy talks about this, about the lever, right? The bigger your lever, the bigger the input and outputs. And then and also social media. I think social media has been huge for me in the last couple of years.
Yeah, let's talk about that real quick before we end it. How did you decide to start doing so much social media? Why'd you get into social media, and how have you been growing it?
So it's a funny story. A lot of guys have a very similar one. So I went to a Pineda event, I think 2 years ago, and I noticed, so I was a medium investor, and there's some other investors in things where there's guys there who are just absolutely crushing it, making $1 million a month, stupid money, just crushing it as business owners, but has zero social media presence, right? Mm-hmm. Then there's these other guys, they did 2 deals in the last 3 years, but they're all over social media. And you're looking at the value, those are the guys that are getting invited to the back room. Those are the guys and speakers I want to talk and connect with. Those are the ones that everybody around the thing want to give their resources and partner with, is the guys who are on social media with 40,000 followers and 2 deals. The guys who are crushing with $1 million a month and zero social media. Nobody's talking to these guys. And so there was this moment that clicked. There is actually a currency of value when you're on social media, that you're getting this disproportionate to your skill set or ability. And then at the event, Pineda, obviously, he came from zero to nothing just on social media, to be honest. He's also a great business owner. He has honestly a semi-decent flipping company, but his real growth was from social media and his education and his other things. And so you look at that driver of how that propelled him. There was just this aha moment that kind of clicked in me at that event for Pineda. And he's a huge advocate of social media. So, okay, from that day forward, I'm going to post on my social media or Instagram every single day, and I'm not going to miss a day for the next year. So then just over the course of that year, I guess some days I have nothing to post, but you just have to find something, so you struggle through it. And then over time, you just get better and better at it, whether it's finding how to find hooks, how to connect with your audience, or how to have better quality, your captions, just overall your process of how you're going to get the script, the reels, and get them out, different kinds of things. So it's a continuing process, just in investing, where the more reps you get in, the more daily, consistently you just put in the effort, you slowly just get better. And then your following grows here and there. I got a few lucky viral videos that kind of supercharged me. But at the same time, it was just like that decision and that aha moment 2 years ago at a Pineda event. It was kind of the impetus that kind of just started my whole snowball journey to where we are now.
I love it. I love it so much. So then what do you feel how do you grow a social media following? Let's just ask that. I know we're at the very end, but I kind of wanted to throw that in there.
There's 2 books I highly recommend. Both of them are by Brendan Kane. It's 1 million followers in 30 days and Hook Point. But those are kind of breakdown. So if you're looking at social media, the way that you grow is you want views and watch time. You just want people who are going to connect with your product, and just really, you just have to have good stuff and over consistency over a long period of time. And I think those 2 books kind of help break you down as far as what you really need to do to do that. And then you just got to experiment and just kind of put in the reps and the hard work to kind of get better at your craft and to get more content out. So the more content that you put out, the better you get at it, right? You might suck in the beginning, and the better you get at it, the more return you're going to get for every piece. So the more content and the better your content can be, those are the 2 levers that you're trying to always increase and get more of. And so even for Pineda, my last coaching session with him was, I put out one reel every single day. You put out 1 reel a day. I put out 6 every single day, 30 across all my different platforms every single day. So look at what you're doing. Look at what I'm doing. Who do you think is going to go get there faster, right? I said, okay, right. That's a great point. But just kind of, you can see the volume of output that you needed and the quality also of yourself those are 2 things that I think people underestimate as far as what's needed to have a successful following.
I agree. I love it so much. So My man, where can people follow you? Where can people reach out to you? And if they maybe they have a question, maybe they want to send you a deal. Is there anything else you want to plug? Anything maybe give your buy criteria in Indianapolis and Hawaii? What do you want the people to engage with you on?
You can engage with me on Instagram. That's my main platform, Daniel Kong 808. And so send me a DM, message me, or comment on my stuff, or share something with me. I'm happy to share or have a DM or discussion of whatever you guys want. Always here to try and add value or answer questions or help you in your journey of your passive income and real estate investing too.
Love it. And then maybe they want to send you a deal. Would it be in Hawaii and Indianapolis?
Hawaii, just Hawaii right now.
Okay. Are you pausing in Indianapolis?
So we're in Kansas City, but only for commercial properties.
Gotcha. So mainly Hawaii. Okay. Cool, man. Well, awesome. You absolutely crushed it. I appreciate you so much for coming on here. Are there any last words you have for the people?
No, I mean, just thank you for the opportunity. I've been watching your stuff too, and I really like what you guys got going on. So the feeling is mutual as far as just following each other on social media.
I love it, man. No, seriously, it'll be fun. We'll follow each other on social media. At some point, I know we'll be at the same real estate conference, and we'll say what's up and say what's good. So awesome. Guys, that's Skorch the Fears. Next week, I'm going to be in Puerto Rico, so I don't know if it's going to be 5 p.m. PST on Thursday. It's going to be with Marlon Johnson and Sam Singh. It's going to be amazing. I appreciate you guys so much for coming on here. This is Skorch the Fears. Thank you again, Daniel. And I will see y'all next week.